We have a brand new clip for Terrifier 2 and some new rumors circulating about Scream 6. Let's get into it.
Well, sometimes that is better.
Hey everybody, what's up? KillJoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today we're talking a little bit about Mr. Art the Clown and Mr. Ghostface, all into one big ol' nasty video. How about them apples? Now maybe you're only interested in the clown or the ghost, so that's why I have little chapters at the bottom of this video that you can skip around, go wherever the heck you want to go for whatever kind of updates you're looking for. Before you start skipping around though, if you guys can like this video and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you for 13,000 subscribers. Heck yeah! Alright, so talking about this Terrifier 2 clip, we just got yet another clip from this movie. Very exciting stuff. And no, this time around we didn't get Art the Clown viciously murdering someone again. I know, I'm disappointed too. But we did get a little bit of talk on the character of Victoria Hayes and how her role may play a very big significance in Terrifier 2. Sienna and all of her friends are sitting around somewhere and they're all kind of talking about this Monica Brown character, who is of course from the opening of the original Terrifier, who then gets mauled by Victoria Hayes in her dressing room later on in that scene. They're talking about this sequence like it has just happened, so I would assume that the events of Terrifier 2 take place directly after this sequence, which yes is in the future, way after the events of the original Terrifier. Lots of weird timeline stuff going on there, I know. We've already seen some sequences of Victoria Hayes' character in prison in this movie, and I wonder if she's going to be some kind of secondary antagonist at some point in this film. Like I said, we've already seen her in the trailer, and we have these characters setting up something related to her character in this new installment. I mean, it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. We're probably going to do more stuff than just Art the Clown killing people for that entire runtime. I'm sure some plot stuff is definitely going to take over at some point in the movie. Our blonde friend here is telling us that Victoria Hayes' face looks like the inside of her cookie, and that is a quote. I feel like that's a really weird way to reference your vagina, but maybe that's just me. I typically call my vagina a coochie, so I don't really know why she would talk about it as a... I typically just refer to my vagina as a coochie. But if there's anything certain about this character, she is so dead. Like, she is such a goner, I can tell just from this one scene. Not that I'm really expecting too many people to survive this film, because it's, like I said, 2 hours and 20 minutes long of just Art the Clown bliss and mayhem. So I'm really expecting a gigantic body count from this, but man, if anybody has a target on their back, it is this character right here. Like, that comment from before was pretty awful, and she kind of deserves to die if this is the setup of her character. Yeah, there's a massive target on her back though, I guess is the point. I will be seeing Terrifier 2 this Thursday, and you guys will have a little review of it on this page Friday morning. I can't wait to talk about that with you guys. Make sure to check out that review. But now talking about some new character descriptions we just got from a third-party source. So like I usually say, take this with a grain of salt. This may or may not be true, but it is interesting to talk about, and that's why I'm gonna talk about it. But don't walk away from this video and be like, well, KillJoy Jake said that this was happening, so it's gotta be happening. But I'm telling you also right now that it may not happen. You silly little goofball. Apparently Dermot Mulroney is Detective Walters, a detective in his borough's homicide unit, a recovering alcoholic who's been sober for years, doesn't enjoy the media response to the deaths or bringing up Jist's daughter. Nice guy, but is lonely and has at times a chip on his shoulder. Gail and him clash. So once again, pretty stereotypical cop character. I feel like that this is so stereotypical to the point that it would just be disappointing to see this, because that last thing there, Gail and him clash, you're like, oh, okay, that might be cool, but like, this is like typical setup for two characters that meet each other, that disagree and all that, and they're going back and forth the whole movie, and then they fall in love. That's just so expected from Scream 6, and I'm just really not looking for that. I don't want to see Gail move on that quickly, I guess, especially with Melissa Barrera recently confirming that there hasn't been too much time in between Screams 5 and Scream 6. I feel like this is a little too quick for Gail to move on, because that's the only thing I can imagine would happen with this relationship with this cop character. Gail does like cops, as we know from the past. I mean, there's really no denying that. We've seen a lot of cop characters become heroes in this franchise, especially with Dewey and Mark Kincaid in Scream 3. I'm kind of hoping for maybe something different this time around. Like maybe this character becomes the killer, for instance. Going back to something else that was said there, apparently his name is Detective Walters, which if you remember from Scream 4, we have a character with the same last name, which may be the daughter that they're referring to here. Rebecca Walters was murdered in Scream 4, if you remember, so that may be why Dermot Mulroney's character is all upset in this new film. He could kind of be like the new Roman in Scream 6, who has a motive that goes all the way back to the original in this new trilogy, which would be 4, 5, and 6. In a weird sort of way, I think that it would be really sweet if they connected 4, 5, and 6, ultimately making Wes's trilogy post-mortem, which I think would be really kind of a nice thing to do to honor Wes Craven by keeping all these movies so consistent like that and in one timeline, or one big story, I guess I should say. Obviously not the same story that Wes and Kevin had intended on telling with 4, 5, and 6, but I do think that this is a pretty nice save if it ends up being true, that is. We also have another character description coming from clips talking about Devin Nakata's character named Ali Seamans. This takes me back to my D&D days where we did a pirate campaign once and I played a douchey Aquaman named Seaman. Maybe a little on the nose, but my friends did not get sick of me saying Seaman all the time. Actually, they did get sick of it and they kicked me out of the group. Allie is friends with Mindy, Chad, Tara, and Carly, Carly referring to Liana Liberado's character, and she doesn't like Ethan, referring to Jack Champion's character, but tolerates him since Mindy and Tara think he's a good guy. Allie comes from money and is rude to people who have fallen on hard times, such as the homeless, and finds them annoying/bothersome. Now, this I actually don't hate. I think that this could be an interesting character depending on how it's executed, and Devin Nakata could play the character well. Not only could you turn all of those character traits into a red herring, but it could also lead to her death sequence. It might be cool to set up a sequence where she walks past a homeless person, doesn't give them money, or like says something nasty to them, whatever, tries to get away, and then like as she's going away, she starts getting chased by Ghostface. She of course doesn't loop back to the homeless person because she unfortunately has that predetermined thought about the homeless and then maybe just gets killed because of it. I feel like that's kind of cool because it's also sneaking a little bit of social commentary in there that would really liven up the scene and give it more weight. So that I'm actually not against. I think that's pretty cool. But the Dermot Mulroney thing, I don't know, maybe. I think a big thing I'm looking for in Scream 6 though is characters that don't feel like any mirrors of characters from the past. It's really cool to see Kirby and Gale come back for this movie, but overall from the new characters, I want to see new characters. That's what I liked so much about Chad, Mindy, Sam, Tara. They felt like new characters instead of like replacing Sidney Prescott. Like Sam Carpenter doesn't feel like a Sidney, and that's what's nice about her as a lead role. I know a lot of us are upset that Nev's not going to be in this movie, but I think that it's nice that we have some new characters to play around with and then build up their characters for future installments. I really don't think any of the new characters are going to be making it through this one alive, unless they're a Ghostface killer that has a cliffhanger, perhaps, that continues on into 7, which would be kind of cool. I think the big thing is I just don't want a happy ending for once. Like, I want to see what happens when Scream ends on a sour note. What does that make for? What kind of movie does that look like even? Hopefully we get some of those questions answered with Scream 6, but what do you guys think about all these updates? And what are you the most excited for? Terrifier 2 or Scream 6? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching this new update video on Terrifier 2 and Scream 6. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Also, if you want to support this channel further, you can support me on Patreon or become a channel member by clicking that join button on my page. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.